I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory. Go to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Peace and safety to the hopefully elect, all the sincere Akim. Pushing the Heavenly Father's word out of a pure heart and sincerity and in truth. And for everybody that don't know Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai, that's the name of the only begotten Son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. In this edition, I'm going to go into Isaiah chapter 27. I'm going to read it in context and show you that this is referring to prophecy and not history, because you got guys twisting the scriptures to fit their own narrative, basically whitewashing the scriptures, uh, like I said, to fit their own narrative. Remember, no prophecy of the scriptures of any in private interpretation. Okay? Um, so I'm just go ahead and jump into it. This is the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, chapter 27, starting at the top. It says, "In that day, the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan." Now, Leviathan in this chapter and verse is referring to the volcanoes, all right, to that brimstone that's written all over the scriptures, the same brimstone that the Lord is going to use to bring the final destruction upon that red dragon, aka the beast, the devil. Um, and I'm gonna show you that. So first thing I want to do is look up this word punish to show you that this word punish is H6485, and basically it means to attend to muster, to number, to reckon, to visit, to punish, appoint, to appoint. Um, let's see here. Let's jump down to the Strong's definition. And it says to visit with friendly or hostile intent. And going back to the scripture, so it's clear that this punish means to visit with hostile intent. Okay? To attend, to muster, to ordain. So it says, "In that day the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish," meaning to muster, all right, to muster up Leviathan. Leviathan, that piercing serpent. Even Leviathan, that crooked serpent. And when you look up this word crooked right here, uh, as you can see, it says torturous, meaning to torture. All right. So it says that crooked, that torturous serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. Now, before I get a precept, I want to read this uh, verse in other, let's see, translations, in other translations, and show you that, let's see here, Salakia. So let's get another translation and show you what that's referring to. So let's read it in the easy English. It says, "In that day the Lord will punish Leviathan. The Lord will use his sword. His sword is great, powerful, and strong. Leviathan is a snake that moves quickly in the sea. It is a snake that puts itself round about things. He, meaning Leviathan, will kill the great animal that's in the sea." The ISV said, "At that time, with his fierce, mighty, and powerful sword, the Lord will punish the gliding serpents, Leviathan, the coiling serpent Leviathan, and he, meaning Leviathan, all right, the Lord, fierce and mighty and powerful sword, he will kill the dragon that is in the sea." Now, let's see. Let's see. And basically, that's the point. I want to read it in other translations so you can get the understanding of what uh, that punishment is. All right, that punish mean the Lord is gonna basically muster up Leviathan, which is his great and powerful sword, all right, to slay the dragon. All right, now I'm going to show you through the precepts who the dragon is referring to, man. The dragon that's going to be slayed, that's in the sea. So, uh, let's get a precept. Like I said, you got guys twisting the scriptures to fit their wicked ass narratives. So this is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy." So that's the dragon that the Lord is going to slay. All right, using his great, mighty, and powerful sword, which is Leviathan, the brimstone, man. Okay, let's prove it further. Stay in the book of Revelations, chapter 17 and verse 1. It says, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore which sitteth upon many waters," referring to that dragon in the sea. Referring to the dragon that's in the sea. Let's prove it even further. Let's stay in the book of Revelation, stay in chapter 17 and jump down to verse 15. It says, "And he saith unto me, The waters which thou seest where the whore sitteth are people and multitudes, nations and tongues," referring to that dragon that's going to be slayed. All right, let's get another precept, man. Stay in the book of Revelations, chapter 12 and verse 7. It says, "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the dragon were cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world." Those same people that's referred to in Revelation 17 and 15, man. Okay? So it says, the great dragon, the same dragon that the prophet Isaiah prophesied about the Lord using his great and powerful sword, which is Leviathan, to slay the dragon that's in the sea. This is the dragon that is referring to, man. "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out of the earth, him and his angels was cast out with him." All right, so going back to the book of Isaiah, to the prophet Isaiah, and read verse 1 without any private interpretation. Okay, you got guys twisting the scriptures basically to fit their own narrative. And you have these new covenant zombies that follow these guys, blindly follow these guys, teaching that madness, man. Because I have showed and gave a lot of evidence, man, showing that these guys is twisting the scriptures. And the guys I'm referring to is the Good Samaritans. I'm referring to Israel tried and refined. Okay, because I have a video on my channel dealing with the mark of the beast, showing that these guys say that they fully understand that the word charagma, original in its original state, the original interpretation of the word charagma in the book of Revelation is referring to printed money. All right, but like I said, you have these new covenant zombies, all right, that follow these blind guides with these twisted breakdowns to fit their own narratives, man. All right, basically, just as wicked as these old covenant zombies, man. No different, man pleasing. All right. Not correcting and calling guys out and rebuking guys for basically private interpreting the scriptures, man. Okay? So it says, this is Isaiah chapter 27 and 1. In that day, the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish. We know that word punish. And you look it up, it says to attend to muster, to reckon, visit, punish, to appoint, to appoint. All right? To appoint Leviathan, the piercing serpent. Even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, we know that crooked is referring to torturous, all right? That torturous serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. The same dragon that we read about in the book of Revelation 13, the book of Revelation 17, and all throughout the book of Revelations. Okay? Revelation chapter 12, that's the dragon that's going to be slayed. All right? Who the Lord is going to use Leviathan, which is his great and powerful and strong sword, to slay that red dragon. Okay? So reading on verse 2, in that day sing ye unto her a vineyard of red wine. The Lord do keep it. I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I will keep it night and day. Night and day. So now I want to get a precept and show you what that's referring to. I'm gonna stay in the book of Isaiah, chapter 50. The book of Isaiah, chapter 58. We know that vineyard, the Lord always referred to Israel as his vineyard. All right. So this is not referring to heathens such as these guys use when breaking down Isaiah chapter 54. We know that that's referring to prophecy. All right. When you read it in this context and use the precepts, it's referring to prophecy and not the Assyrians, such as these guys teach no different from these old covenant Hebrew Israelites who say that Isaiah 54, dealing with the smith, is referring to the Edomites, all right, which is an example of whitewashing the scriptures. The same way covenant, these new covenant guys, all right, these wicked new covenant shepherds, all right, these blind guides, the ones that twist the scriptures, all right, to fit they wicked ass narratives that use private interpretations, all right, turning prophecy into history. Okay, so this is Isaiah 58 and verse 11. It says, and the Lord shall guide thee continually and satisfy the soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden. That's the vineyard, man. Referring to the elect of Israel, man. All right, this is prophecy that has not came to pass. This is not dealing with history, man. This is not dealing with heathens. Okay? This is dealing with Israel, man. But these guys won't read the chapter in context, all right? Because they're basically sorcerers, man. New covenant using the new covenant to push their sorcery upon these zombies that follow them and follow their teachings, man. Okay, so it says, reading again, Isaiah 58 and 11, and the Lord shall guide thee continually and satisfy thy soul in drought and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden and like a spring of water whose water fail not. Okay, so going back to the prophet Isaiah chapter 27 and verse 2 and 3, in that day sing ye unto her a vineyard of red wine. I, the Lord, do keep it. I will water it every moment. Lest any hurt it, I will keep it night and day. All right, so that's what's that referring to. It's prophecy. This is prophetic, man. This is not historical, man. Okay? So reading on verse 4, it says, fury is not in me, who was set the briars and thorns against me in battle. And the briars of thorn is referring to the heathens. All right. And I can show you many precepts on that. Isaiah, let's see, chapter. Let's get it. Let's see. I believe it's Isaiah chapter. Let's see. Dealing with those thorns and briars. The Lord referred to the nations as thorns and briars. All right. Let me read verse 4, 5, and 6, and then I get the precept and prove that point. So this is Isaiah chapter 27 and 4. Fury is not in me. Who would set the briars and thorns against me in battle? I will go through them. I will burn them together. Or let him take hold of my strength, that he may make peace with me, and he shall make peace, with me. He shall cause them that come of Jacob to take root. So this is not referring to dealing with historical events, man. This is prophetic, man. This is prophecy. It says Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit. That's prophecy, not history, man. Like I say, you got these wicked ass new covenant zombies, all right, that basically follow these blind guides in these twisted ass breakdowns with they twisted ass understanding of the scriptures, basically using iconoclasm, basically whitewashing the scriptures, man. All right, like I said earlier, Isaiah 54 dealing with the smith. When you read that whole chapter in context, it's clear that the prophet Isaiah is prophesying about the elect, the kingdom of heaven, not a historical event. Okay, so he said he shall cause them that come of Jacob to take root. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit. So now let me get a precept and show you what that's referring to. I'm going to stay in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 22. Isaiah 60 and 22. And it says, I'll start up at 21. It says, thy people also shall be all righteous. All righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, that vineyard, the work of my hands, that I might be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, a small one, a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. So that's what it's referring to in chapter 27. Okay, when he's going to fill the world with the fruit of Jacob. Let's get another precept and prove that further. Let's see. Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 9. Let's see. So let's see here. Like I say, you have these guys, man, using a iconoclasm, the same thing that they accuse Esau of doing. They're committing the same act, man. They're committing the same act. Let's see. So let's read Jeremiah 30:10. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of captivity, and Jacob shall return and shall rest and be quiet. None shall make him afraid. Uh, let's see. When you read this chapter, when you read Isaiah chapter 27 in its full context, it's clear that that chapter is not referring to historical events, man. It's referring to prophecy, man. It's referring to prophecy, man. Let's see. I believe that's 19. So it says, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. So when you go back to Isaiah chapter 27, when you go back to Isaiah chapter 27 and read verse 6, it says, he shall cause them to come of Jacob and take root. Israel shall blossom, shall multiply, and bud shall multiply, and fill the face of the world with fruit. Okay? This is dealing with future prophecy, man. This is not a historical event. So anybody who's teaching that Isaiah chapter 27 is a historical event, it's basically private interpreting the scriptures, man. Remember, no prophecy of the scriptures is of any private interpretation. And that's the proof that these guys is not of Yahweh Shai, because we know when you read the book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 10, it says, and I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship the power, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So that's the proof that these guys don't have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, even though they claim to be in the new covenant. The same guys that's trying to profit off the Lord's word by basically manufacturing books, claiming to expose false doctrine when they're the ones who teaching false doctrines. All right, using the same witchcraft that these old covenant one West Hebrew Israelite cult elders is doing, man, been doing for years. All right, and an example of it on my channel, I have a video of elder well, Salakia, not elder, but General Yohana doing the same thing that these guys is attempting to do. All right, profit off the Lord word. All right, so let's go back. This is the book of Isaiah, uh, picking up at verse 7. It says, has he smitten him as he smote those that smote him? Or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that are slain by him? In measure when it shooteth forth, thou wilt debate with it. He stayeth as rough wind in the day of the east wind. By this, therefore shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged. Be purged. All right, so that's an example of the prophet Isaiah prophesying about future events. All right, this is not historical at all. All right, that's called iconoclasm. That's called whitewashing the scriptures. That's called a private interpretation. So it says, by this therefore shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged, and this is all the fruit to take away his sin. And we know the only one that's able to take away sin is Yahweh Shai. Okay? This is referring to future prophecy, man. All right. The prophet Isaiah was prophesying. Okay. So it says, when he maketh all those stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten in sunder, and groves and images shall not stand. Yet the defenced city shall be desolate, and the habitation forsaken, and left like a wilderness. There shall the calf feed, and there shall he lie down and consume the branches thereof. Consume the branches thereof. Let's get a precept of the Lord consuming the branches. Show you that this is referring to prophecy, man. Like I said, I gave many examples, much evidence of these guys private interpreting the scriptures, being sorcerers, all right, using witchcraft. Like I said, the same guy that claimed to that's right, that's selling the book, um, selling the book, proclaiming to expose false doctrines. They're the same ones that's using false doctrines. Okay, basically saying that he fully understands that the word charagma in his original interpretation was referring to printed money. Okay, so this is but yet and still teaching the RFID microchip doctrine, and the zombies eat it up, man. The same way those old covenant zombies eat up that madness that those wicked shepherds, those wicked Pharisees teach, man. All right. It's no different than teaching that the 12 tribe chart is biblical. No different, man. Okay, so this is Obadiah 1:20. It says, the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau shall be stubble. That's the branches. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and they shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. For the Lord hath spoken it. So that's what it's referring to, man. Let's go back. Uh, and read Isaiah 27:10. It said, yet the defenced city shall be desolate, and the habitation forsaken and left like a wilderness, and the calf shall feed, and there shall he lie down and consume the branches thereof. When the dough thereof are withered, they shall be broken off. The woman come and set them on fire, for it is a people of no understanding. Therefore, he that made them would not have mercy on them, and he that formed them would not show them no favor. So now this is the main point to show you that this is referring to prophecy. This is the prophet Isaiah prophesying. Okay. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall beat off from the channels of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel. That's what it's referring to, man. It's not referring to whatever twisted breakdown that these guys use to fit their wicked ass narrative. Okay? And to prove that, we can get plenty scriptures on Israel being gathered. Let's get that. Let's go to Matthew's and show you that that's future prophecy, man. Uh, Isaiah 24:31. It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, dealing with future prophecy. Now let's go back, and we're going to read verse 13. Remember what I just read out of the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and 13. Better yet, let me start back at 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall beat off from the channels of the river unto the streams of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel. Verse 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown. The great trumpet shall be blown, just like we read in Matthew 24 and 31. And they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem. At Jerusalem, referring to future prophecy, man. And this is not referring to any historical event. This is the prophet Isaiah prophesying of the elect of Israel being gathered. The same way that trumpet shall be blown. The prophet Isaiah prophesied of that day when the trumpet shall be blown is the same way in the book of Matthew's chapter 24 and verse 31. I said, man, these guys are bugged out, man. All right. So it says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. The same way here in Isaiah 27 and 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem. All right. So basically that's the point. I hope you brothers was edified, and with that, I'm gonna say shalom.